I'd like to tell you that the Rockets came into Miami starting to figure some things out. It would have been great to show you clips how the Harden-Westbrook pairing is working well, and that their switching defensive scheme is really effective, and that Russ had a magical game where he couldn't seem to miss no matter what type of shot, intentional or not, he threw up. But after a Saturday night out in South Beach, a sluggish start to the game wasn't surprising. But what the Heat unleashed on the Rockets also exposed some issues that may or may not get fixed. In the 24 years since the NBA officially charted plus minus, we've only seen 4 worse totals than Russell Westbrook's negative 46. And when you factor in that he only played 26 minutes, it's worth digging into the footage to find out how he had such a historic night. The first play of the game gave us a clue, as there's immediate confusion as to what they want to run as a set play. It appears Russ started on the wrong side, and it takes them 10 seconds to get set up properly. And it's clear the whole thing is a sloppy mess, right to the point Russ drives the lane and tries to do a 180 bullet pass to a player who's not open. But it wasn't all bad for Russ. There were some highlights. It's still a shock to me to see a D'Antoni team call for an ISO post-up, but you can see how Russ's gravity pulls the defense out of position, and because of the scramble, it eventually leads to the nice Ben McLemore runner. Without Harden, Westbrook can play the ISO playmaker role, and notice how Myers Leonard shadows in the lane. It invites a double team, which then directly leads to the baseline cut by House and a nice reverse layup. Spacing issues will come up all season long, as this set has 2 pin downs being set in the mid-range on both sides. Russ puts his head down and creates a hole that gets him an assist. As a coach, I've always got to celebrate a nice backdoor cut and pass for the dunk by McLemore. And while defense isn't what Westbrook is known for, he was active here, helping on the drive, then recovering to contest the three-pointer into an air ball. And pretty good positioning on the baseline drive leads him to flashing some quick hands and deflecting this pass out of bounds, stopping an open corner 3. Here he reads the ball handler's eyes, picks off the pass, and draws a foul all at the same time. However, it was this kind of gambling that got him into trouble more often than not on defense. He tries to steal this pass to Butler, and instead, it allows Jimmy to get going early from deep. And he gambles again to try and steal the post-entry pass, forcing the help to rotate over and foul Butler. But it wasn't like the problematic defense was all on Westbrook. Harden got beat backdoor pretty badly, and Capella is lucky the referees ignored the elbow to the head of Kendrick Nunn that caused the miss. And Harden is way out of position on this Butler cut, allowing for a very deep catch and an easy step back from 12 feet. When the gamble works, it sure looks great, but when you try for a steal like this and don't get it, it's a guaranteed dunk for the other team. All the switching can become a confusing whirlwind of activity for any defender, as Russ eventually ends up guarding Olynyk and needed to be on the line of deployment between the ball and the basket. Instead, he's in no man's land, unable to stop the drive nor the pass back to Olynyk for the layup. The Rockets defense in general has struggled with positioning, and I do feel like over the course of the season, by sheer experience, this will improve. But here you can see a good switch between Russ and Clemens, but House inexplicably bumps down to Olynyk. Russ is standing right there. Now he has to close out, give up middle penetration and a kick out, and watch how PJ Tucker and Chris Clemens do not talk, nor is Tucker aware of the switch that should happen, allowing Robinson an easy 3. But Russ tends to react late when not guarding the ball, and here's another example of Dragic slipping a ball screen and catching Westbrook way out of position on his way to the simple layup. In transition, he's walking, no idea where the ball is, and misses being the primary help defender on this drive, where his wondrous athletic ability would have been welcome to stop James Johnson from laying it in so easily. And more evidence that the defense as a whole is simply not focused and playing together like a team. After Westbrook makes a bank shot in transition, the rest of the team is slow getting back, so he's forced to pick up big man Bam Adebayo and promptly commits the foul, and Russ is hot. Now let's take a look at Russ on offense to see how accurate we were in our Rockets preview video in September, and for more evidence as to why his plus-minus dips below -40. He turned the ball over 7 times in only 26 minutes, and empty possessions where the other team gets the fast break will doom you. While he gets by Butler, he leaves the ball out at his hip for an easy poke away and a steal for the Heat. On this pick and roll, he leaves the dribble too far in front, allowing Leonard to swipe it and leave him flailing on the ground as the Heat race down to the other end. And he's always struggled with reading the defense, making his pocket pass like he's in a drill instead of up against 5 live defenders who will steal the ball. For the season, he's shooting 25% from the three-point arc on almost 5 attempts. Even in the three-point happy offense of the Rockets, it's too many for him to take, and it's going to hurt everyone else as defenses will clog the lane to prevent Harden from going off by leaving Russ wide open. But it's the early three-point shots off the dribble with plenty of time left on the clock that are sheer torture for Mike D'Antoni, as these are the #1 shots he needs to simply eliminate from his arsenal. It was a bit strange. The Rockets began the second half with ISO for Russ in the left wing that turned into a three-pointer with no rhythm 7 seconds into possession. Even if he does start hitting, teams will continue to dare him to shoot, realizing it's more worth it to prevent drivers by helping off of him rather than stay at home and contest every three. For his entire career, he struggled to be an elite finisher at the rim because he cannot control his speed and power. And last night had a few examples like this open right-handed layup that is way off, leaving him crashing into the stanchion. And then it takes him 8 seconds to get back into the play on defense, leaving the Heat on a power play that leads to an easy layup. Sometimes he'll get the benefit of the doubt from the refs, like on this play. Even though you can see he's trying to lift off the left foot while the defender is still in front of him, there is absolutely no contact. He lands before the ball is out of his hand and is lucky to get bailed out by the whistle. Another full-throttle drive to the rim leads to a shortened left-step jump, allowing Olynyk to stay with him, and a double-pump left-handed scoop attempt gets blocked by a particularly earthbound defender. And after this careless pass is luckily not thrown away, it invites him to fly at the rim. This time that left step is a little longer on takeoff, but he tries an inside hand layup, requiring floating through the air and releasing on the way down, leading to a short shot that has no hope of going in. Hey, that kind of thing happens, but to then pick up full court and just commit a silly frustration foul makes the whole thing maddening. Can you hear me shaking my head? When Russ went out in the first and third quarters, the defense definitely perked up, improving their positioning and spacing as Capella stays with the cutter and the pass is thrown away. There are a bunch of switches throughout this entire possession that are on point, timed properly, particularly as Gordon is about to get beat. Sefolosha picks him up, and Gordon covers for Sefolosha. The shot clock winds down, forcing the turnover. Notice the better spacing without Westbrook in there. Harden can use the ball screen to get into the lane without help from the weak side, and lob to Capella. In direct contrast to the Russ misses at the rim, when it's Harden running the show, he's under control, reads the defense perfectly, and does not miss layups. With Russ in the corner, a very common position in D'Antoni's offense for the guard, his man could be on the lane line ignoring him and the Capella lob is not there. It seems common to have poor spacing in lineups with just Russ, as 3 players are bunched on the left side, allowing the defense to defend the drive and then the dump-off pass into a contested miss. And with his poor three-point shooting, the Heat put a center on Westbrook and Bam Adebayo, then ran him at Harden as a double team, which almost worked, but Russ was able to manufacture some free throws out of the scramble. Teams will no doubt be watching this, and if they have a mobile big man, they can afford to put him on Russ and let him roam. Adebayo gives him space to take away the drive, daring him to shoot, and when Russ doesn't take the bait, Adebayo can ignore him to help on the drive from Tucker. Then, Jimmy Butler just takes this ball away in embarrassing fashion. While this game got out of hand so quickly, you might want to dismiss everything that happened after the first 6 minutes of the game. But I'm seeing all of these issues during their other games. And while I know they are going to improve their defensive coverages just by having more experience together, I'm not so sure it'll be enough to consider them a legit contender in the West. And if you combine the South Beach nightlife with a terrific execution of a well-coached team, you'll get a historic night from none other than Russell the Brody Westbrook. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to B-Ball Breakdown so you can get alerted right away when we drop a new video. This season will be filled with incredible content, so don't miss it. You in?